Spectral Fantasy. Warning: your choices have an effect on the outcome of the game. Please consider carefully. What's your name? This was probably a terrible idea. You sighed to yourself as you clicked the lock button on your keys and gave one final grimace to the source of your current predicament. You had been driving home from a get-together at your friend's house when your car had started making an awful grinding noise akin to a broken chainsaw, causing you to pull over before your engine caught fire or something. No, do not start thinking about chainsaws right now when you're currently stranded in the middle of a goddamn woods at 1 in the morning. You should really stop watching so many horror movies. You're enough of a paranoid person as is. Pulling out a second source of grief out of your pocket, you check one final time to see "No service" icon flashing at the top of your phone screen. Of course, your first instinct was to call someone to come pick you up and save you from this nightmare you found yourself in. But those hopes have been dashed quickly. The stretch of forest between your town and the neighboring one your friend lives in is notorious for being a dead zone. Figures this is where your traitorous car would choose to break down. With another heavy sigh, you start to trek along the side of the road. You had debated sleeping in your car until the morning, but you knew your town was only a few miles from your current location, and it wouldn't take you a ridiculously long time to make it there. Besides, it's not like you'd suddenly have cell service in the morning anyways. You'd have to walk one way or another. Terrible idea, indeed. However, despite your present circumstances, it truly was a beautiful autumn night. The night sky was free of any clouds, allowing moonlight to illuminate the road ahead of you and eliminated the need for emergency flashlight you had grabbed from the trunk of your car before you had left. It was easy to get lost in admiring the way the moonlight filtered in the sky, the trees around you, or how many stars were glittering in the sky above. There were worse nights your car could have chosen to break down. Still though, you were currently stuck walking along the road in the middle of the forest. Give and take. It was so easy to get caught up in stargazing. In fact, you had nearly jumped straight out of your skin and had to slap a hand over your mouth to stifle a small shriek when you heard a stick crack in the woods off to your side. That was fine. It's the woods. There's nocturnal animals. Noises are normal. You repeated that to yourself like a mantra as you continued your hike, now on high alert to the various sounds from the trees on either side of the road. Every time a branch would break or rustling could be heard from the dense underbrush, your walking would speed up until you were nearly jogging. Your heart was hammering nearly painfully in your chest as paranoia ran rampant in your mind, and all the terrible things that could be lurking just out of sight in the trees around you. Just as you were about to call it quits and run screaming back to your car, you saw a break in the trees just ahead of you. That's right, you almost forgot. It was a decently populated urban legend amongst teens in your town that you were used to hearing stories about it growing up from kids you went to school with. Briarwood Manor, a giant Victorian era mansion that's been left abandoned in the forest by your town for God knows how many decades now. No one knows who owns it, nor has anyone seen any for sale signs outside it to your knowledge. According to the legend, the manor is haunted. You know, like every other abandoned mansion there is on the planet. That's simply a fact of life. Grass is green, the sky is blue, and abandoned mansions are haunted. It's not uncommon for teenagers to dare each other to spend a night in Briarwood Manor. One of your classmates even took up the challenge after his friend had bet him $20 he couldn't last on the night. From what you heard, he didn't even last an hour before he was running out the front doors. You weren't incredibly superstitious yourself, so you weren't ever terribly concerned with the manor. If anything, it'd be fun to investigate from an urban exploration perspective. Well, apparently, that time is now. You'd much rather take your chances waiting out the night in the manor rather than endure another minute of your brain plaguing you with images of mountain lions charging at you from the trees to rip out your throat. After briskly turning onto the dirt path, you could already see the looming shape of the manor from between gaps in the trees. You slip your way through the gap in the rusted iron gates that mark the entrance to the property, the metal emitting a shrill screech into the darkness around you, causing you to wince. It was impossible not to acknowledge the beauty of the manor now that you were standing right in front of it. Modern buildings truly do pale in comparison to architecture like this. Every little detail, all the way from the intricate designs carved into the wooden doors to the elegant swooping metal of the porch railing, had clear love poured into their creation. It's a shame it's abandoned, you thought, left to rot out here in the woods like this. You'd love to call a place like this your home. Well, after some major repairs and TLC, that is. As beautiful as the manor was, there was no glossing over the fact that the most of the visible windows were either cracked or shattered completely. Wooden planks had been haphazardly nailed across the broken windows, most growing moss and showing clear signs of weathering. No one had come to perform maintenance in a very long time, it seemed. After making your way up the cracked stone stairs, you find yourself standing in front of the doors to Briarwood Manor and are suddenly hit with a new wave of apprehension. Were you really going to do this? It still wasn't too late to go back and sleep in your car until the morning, but that required making the hike all the way back through the dreaded forest that put you on the front porch of the manor to begin with. No. What were you getting anxious for anyways? Teenagers come here all the time, and no one has ever gotten hurt to your knowledge. Besides, ghosts weren't real, just a bunch of dumb stories kids tell each other to get scared for fun. Alright, enough of the mental gymnastics with yourself, you're going in. Much to your surprise, the front doors swing open with relative ease. The ancient hinges give a groan in protest, announcing your presence to the empty manor. Huh? You were expecting the front doors to be locked, though at the same time, you really didn't feel like looking for another entrance by hauling yourself through a window or something. You pull the emergency flashlight out of your backpack and click it on, the beam of light flickering precariously a few times before mercifully staying on. Taking your first few hesitant steps into the manor, you sweep the flashlight's beam around the room and survey your surroundings. The room you find yourself in seems to be a foyer. A large wooden double staircase can be seen at the back of the spacious room, leading up to what seems to be a small landing. At the base of the staircases, there's a set of double doors, which presumably lead to the rest of the first floor. There isn't much furniture in this room, just a small settee and a few tables placed here and there. However, a large, elegantly carved mirror in the corner of the room does give you a fright when your flashlight beams passes over it, causing the glass to flash back at you. It is rather impressive, that this place seems completely untouched. You think to yourself. There's no graffiti like you expected to find from such a popular teen hangout spot. And even weirder is that all the furniture is still here. Surely such a nice antique pieces would fetch a decent price to sell. What doesn't surprise you, however, is the sheer amount of dust. Every visible surface is coated in a thick blanket of it, and dust motes can be seen floating lazily through the air in the silver beams of moonlight streaming through the windows. You can even make out footprints in the dust on the floor from previous visitors. Well, since you were stuck here for the rest of the night, you might as well explore for a bit more. Where to first? Enter the set of doors between the set of stairs. Your hand turns the elegantly shaped metal handle of one of the double doors, and it swings inward to reveal a long, dark hallway that leads farther into the manor. The walls of the hallway are lined with sconces, surprisingly still holding half-burned candlesticks, and a wooden floor is covered with elegant-looking red carpet. More wooden doors, similar to the ones you entered, are spaced evenly down both sides of the hallway. There looks to be 6 rooms in total. Wow, this place is massive. Rich people are on a whole other level. You try the doorknobs as you make your way down the hall. Odd. All of the rooms so far are locked. Just as you reach out for the doorknob of one of the last rooms in the hall, you hear a wooden clattering sound from behind you, causing your entire body to jump in surprise. Quickly spinning around, you see the source of the noise. One of the large framed paintings that had been decorating the wall of the hallway had fallen to the floor. It's not entirely outside the realm of possibilities, you supposed. Briarwood Manor was ancient, after all. You walking around probably just disturbed it, enough to fall off its hook. A nice, rational explanation. No way you were going to buy into all the ghost stories about this place. Your paranoia would drive you to insanity if you started thinking like that. You turn your attention back to the door in front of you, and once again, reach out to try the doorknob. Oh, it's not locked. The door swings open easily, and you step inside, sweeping your flashlight around the room. It looks like a large dining room. There's a long wooden table in the center of the room with matching chairs arranged around it. Definitely bigger than any dining room you've been in before. A beautiful chandelier hangs over the table, candles still present in their holders. You pull out a chair at the head of the table and take a seat, imagining what it'd be like to have dinner in such a fancy room. What a gorgeous place to have a meal. Suddenly, your eye catches movement from the far end of the room, and your head snaps up to look. Oh, it was the drapes framing one of the windows. You can spot a large hole in the glass, so it was probably just a breeze. You let out a breath you didn't even realize you were holding, and you try to will your heartbeat to return to a normal level. Jeez, look at you getting all worked up like this. The stories about this place were really getting to you, apparently. Calm down, Jean. It's just an old house. Pulling out your phone, you briefly check to see if you still don't have any luck with service before opening up an app. Might as well relax here for a bit while you wait for the morning. A few minutes go by and you're fully absorbed in your phone. So when you suddenly hear a short series of wooden creaking noises from behind you, you drop your phone in surprise and it clatters loudly onto the table. Giving the room a quick scan, you don't see anything out of place. Maybe it was just the house settling. Houses do that, right? Slowly, you reach for your phone and slide it back into your pocket while you wait and see if you hear anything else. There it was again! A sharp pang of fear grips your chest as you realize that the noise sounded like it wasn't just the foundation creaking. It sounded exactly like quick footsteps running across the wooden floor. In an instant, you spring to your feet and bolt out of the room and back into the hallway before slamming the door behind you. No, absolutely not dealing with that. You stay there in the hallway, watching the door for a few minutes until you're convinced nothing is going to chase you. Maybe you just thought it sounded like footsteps. Ah, your paranoia is acting up again. You're letting yourself get all worked up for nothing. Though, maybe a change of scenery would do you some good. You find another unlocked door down the hallway from the dining room and step inside. It seems to be a comfortable parlor room. Plush-looking velvet chairs and couches are arranged around the wooden table in the center of the room. Much to your surprise, there was even a tea set displayed neatly on the table. Most of the walls are covered in large windows, framed by heavy velvet drapes, allowing moonlight to shine in and illuminate the room better. Perhaps you'll hang out in this room for the night and wait in the morning. It's very inviting, a good place to relax and get your mind off the events from the dining room. You make your way over to one of the couches and brush aside some of the dust before making yourself comfortable. The couch is every bit as soft as it looked. As you go to admire the room some more, your flashlight beam all of a sudden and starts to flicker. Ugh, stupid old thing. You knew it wasn't going to last the whole night. You slap the plastic side of it a few times before it miraculously decides to stay on. Thank God. As if on cue, the beam cuts out. Before you even had a chance to smack it again, your attention snaps to the table in front of you in an instant. Did that teacup just move? You stare at it intently for a few moments before rolling your eyes with a sigh. This place is really messing with your head. It's just an old mansion. There's no such thing as ghosts. Scratch that. The teacup is floating. You feel your chest tighten up in fear as you sit there, too paralyzed by terror to move, as the teacup hovers innocently a few inches above the table in front of you. Helpless to do anything but watch, you stare wide-eyed as the teacup lazily floats closer to you until it's right in front of your face. Then, just as suddenly as it happened, the teacup drops harmlessly onto your lap. Before your poor panic-stricken brain even had a chance to process what just happened, you heard an echoing laugh ring out into the room, causing the blood in your veins to turn to ice. That's it. Your stay in the mansion is officially over. You really regret giving your classmates so much shit for buying into all the ghost stories about Briarwood Manor back when you were still in school. Maybe if you had believed them, you wouldn't be in this situation right now. Without waiting to see what the other nightmare Briarwood Mansion had in store for you, you jump to your feet and scramble to get to the door. No, 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 no. It's locked. You uselessly try and turn the doorknob as your brain starts trying to work out another way out of the room. This is the first floor. You could probably throw something to break the window and climb out. You spare a brief glance down at the useless flashlight still clutched into your hand. That could work. What? You're not in the mood for tea? A voice calls out from somewhere in the room behind you, amusement clearly evident in its tone, ripping you out of your thoughts and sending a chill down your spine. You quickly turn on you quickly turn on your heel and muster up the strength you can manage despite your fear and whip the flashlight at the figure now present in the room with you. Said figure lets out a sharp cry and ducks just moments before the flashlight goes sailing above its head and smashes into the wall. What is wrong with you? Oh, that's not the terrifying ghost your brain was imagining in its paranoia. The figure crouched on the floor in front of you looks like an ordinary boy, probably close to your age if you had to guess. The only thing off about him is the sickly pallor of his skin and the slight transparent quality to his form. He's giving you a wide-eyed, incredulous look, seemingly waiting on an answer from you. Oh, I thought you were going to kill me. It was self-defense. An awkward cough leaves your mouth as you answer lamely. What? No, I wasn't going to kill you. I don't even want to hurt you. I just wanted to have a little fun and scare you a bit is all. The ghost looks at the wall and sighs to himself before turning his gaze back to you with an apologetic smile on his face. I'm sorry. Let me start over. I'm Cyrus. He holds a slightly see-through hand for you to shake. Shake his hand. You reach out and grasp Cyrus's hand in your own. The contrast of his cold skin against yours sends a shiver up your arm. I'm Gene. He brightens up immediately and happily shakes your hand before letting go. Nice to meet you. And again, I'm sorry if I scared you too badly. It's just been so long since I have had a visitor. I got a bit overexcited. He lets out an awkward laugh and rubs the back of his neck. Apology accepted. It's fine. No harm done. Well, physical harm at least. My mental state has definitely taken a few blows. You chuckle and give him a grin of your own ease any leftover tension in the room, and you're pleased to hear him laugh along with you. Jeez, to think this was a big scary ghost you were so terrified of not even 10 minutes ago. So, you like scaring people? For fun? I'm a ghost. That's our kind of thing, isn't it? A fond smile appears on his face as he continues. I mean, most of the visitors I get are people looking to get scared, like putting on a good I like putting on a good show for them. That did make sense. You suppose, given all the urban legends about Briarwood Manor. Teens purposely came here with the hopes of getting scared. It was practically like a Halloween attraction. It's fun for me too. It gets boring here. The ghost's voice took a bitter tone as he kept his eyes downcast, and you could sense there was more to it than that. That's why I try to keep the stories going, so people tell their friends and I get more visitors. Cyrus, are you lonely? Cyrus's head abruptly snapped up to stare at you with wide eyes, before he seemed to quickly recover and let up a small laugh. Lonely? Of course not. I'm a ghost. Being lonely is kind of our thing. He waved off your question with another awkward laugh and coughed into his fist to compose himself. Besides, I have the people that visit me to keep me company. Even if only one or two people visit a month, or that only a handful over the decades have ever stayed to talk with me after I've revealed myself. I'm definitely not bothered when I say hi and they run screaming out the front door. Nope, not at all. So, basically what you're telling me is that you're lonely. He brings his hands up to cover his face and muffles a small scream into them before peeking at you above his fingers. Is it that obvious? It was impossible to stop a tiny grin from forming on your face at his actions. To think this was the big scary ghost you were running for your life from not even 20 minutes ago. He was kinda cute like this. I think most people would be lonely in your situation. I know I wouldn't be able to handle it. Are you not able to leave the mansion then? This causes an annoyed frown to cross Cyrus's face as he crosses his arms. No, my spirit is confined to the property. I've come to the conclusion that it's because I died here. He throws his arms up in frustration. I don't know. It's not like I have a handy little handbook that tells me about how to be a ghost. You tap your finger to your chin, wondering where you could go from here. You oddly find yourself wanting to cheer him up. The sheer irony. Like, yeah, he scared the hell out of you and nearly gave you a heart attack, but he clearly isn't a bad person, just lonely. You couldn't imagine being alone for so long as Cyrus has. He can't even leave and go explore the world. Being a ghost sucks. Oh, if you can't leave, then how about you show me around the mansion? Where do you like to hang out? Cyrus stares at you dumbfoundedly for a few moments before his expression morphs into a huge smile. Really? If you're really interested, I could show you the library. It's my favorite room in the whole mansion. A matching smile makes its way onto your face as you gesture towards the door and nod. This place had a personal library? That's awesome. You love books, especially antique ones. Lead the way. Cyrus eagerly makes his way to the door, and instead of opening it, his body passes right through the wood. Right. Ghost. Not even a moment later, the door swings open to reveal a clearly flustered Cyrus. His pale cheeks are even tinted a tiny bit red. Oh, that's adorable. Sorry, force of habit. Follow me. The two of you walk back down the hallway you initially came in from and through the double doors back into the foyer. He leads you up the staircase, and you take a moment to admire the foyer from the higher vantage point. Cyrus leans onto the railing next to you and shoots at you an easy grin. Pretty, right? When I was a kid, one of my favorite things to do was sliding down the staircase railings. My parents hated it. You nod before looking over to meet his eyes. You grew up here? Lived here my entire life. Well, and afterlife now, I suppose. It'd be a lie to say you weren't curious about his past, but you didn't want to pry right now. Probably considered rude to ask a ghost what their life was like before they, well, you know. Anyways, the library is right down this hallway. You follow Cyrus in silence, neither one of you saying anything until you reach another beautifully carved wooden door down the hall. Everything in this manor must cost a fortune. You wonder if Cyrus will let you take a vase home to pay off your student loans. Here we are. He swings the door open to reveal the library. It was huge. Nearly every available wall was lined with bookshelves, full of more volumes than you could ever hope to count. A sizable stone fireplace was nestled between the two of the bookshelves, with two soft-looking velvet couches facing each other in front of it. The perfect place to relax with a good book. Cyrus stood back in the doorway and smiled as he watched you slowly walk around the room and admire everything. You walk up one of the massive bookshelves and run your fingertips along the spine of one of the books in awe. This is amazing. I've never been inside a private library. Oh, here! Let me make it a little more welcoming in here. In a flash, a roaring fire going into the fireplace, and you quickly turn to stare at Cyrus with your mouth agape. He sends a smug smirk your way in return. Ghost powers. I've had a lot of time to learn. Though, I rarely bother with the candles or the fireplaces. I can see in the dark just fine. Anyways, he claps his hands together. I've got a deal for you. I'll let you take any of the books you want, and in exchange, you have to tell me more about yourself. He shoots you a playful grin and gestures to the bookshelf you were admiring a second ago. I saw how your face lit up looking at everything. Pretty good deal, right? Hmm, I suppose I could agree to those terms. What do you want to know? Anything you want to share. Though, I am curious how you ended up here in my home to begin with. Here, come get comfortable. He moves to sit down in one of the couches in front of the fireplace and gestures to the other couch opposite of him, sending a welcoming smile your way. Sit down across from him. Returning his smile, you sit down on the couch across from him, the plush cushions sinking comfortably under you. So, you want to know how I ended up here, right? Cyrus nods eagerly. Of course, you're the first visitor I've had in... He trails off, mumbling numbers under his breath before waving his hand. Never mind, doesn't matter. You're the first in a long time that hasn't run out the front door in fear by this point. So, I'd love to hear more about you. Clearly, I don't get out much. You politely decline to mention that you did, in fact, try to run out the door in fear. You don't want to hurt his feelings. Well, for starters, you explain all about how your trader's car broke down and how you had paranoia-filled hike along the side of the road until you ended up at Briarwood Manor's front gates. I figured an abandoned mansion would be a better place to wait out the night rather than just run all the way back to my car. An awkward laugh escapes you as you finish recounting the events of the night. It sounds ridiculous now that you're saying it out loud to someone. So, you willingly came into a known haunted mansion because you were afraid of some completely normal noises in the woods? Immediately, your hands come up to cover your face and you let out an embarrassed scream. Ah, someone kill you now! I thought I was going to get mauled by a bear or something. That's a completely natural reaction. You know what? I think I'd rather you be a scary murderous ghost. Please end my pitiful existence. This causes Cyrus to burst into laughter and hold his sides. He tries to speak several times but can't manage to get any of the words out. He calms down after a few moments and wipes a tear from his eye. I'm sorry, really. I haven't joked with someone like this in forever, you understand? Please, continue. You feign a glare at him before continuing with your conversation. The two of you talk for a long time, discussing your life, how you spend your days, what your hobbies are, even your favorite ice cream flavor. You don't even talk to your friends about your personal life like this much. For whatever reason, talking to Cyrus is easy. Maybe because he's a ghost and doesn't get to experience everyday life anymore. What a sad existence. Cyrus listens intently the entire time. He seems genuinely interested in your life and how things in the outside world, asking questions here and there about various things. When you run out of things to talk about, he chuckles and gestures to the rest of the library. Well, I'd say you more than earned the books. Thank you for sharing with me. I really enjoyed hearing about everything. He goes quiet for a moment, seeming to be lost in thought before his red eyes meet yours. Would you like to hear about me in return? I'll answer any questions you have. As long as you don't mind. Of course I don't mind. You were kind enough to talk about yourself for this long. It's the least I can do. Alright then, for starters. What was your life like when you were alive? I'm really curious about the time period you were alive in. I could honestly go on for hours about it. Things are so different now compared to back then. It really is amazing how much changes in nearly 200 years. He talks for a long time about all the changes he witnessed, electricity becoming widely used, and subsequently all the rapid changes in technology with it. To your surprise, he knows all about cell phones thanks to the previous visitors. He talks about the amazing advancements made in medicine and how illnesses that were considered a death sentence in his time were easily treatable now, or nearly wiped out completely. I think my favorite thing is music. I mean, you have hundreds of songs right at your fingertips. It's amazing. Do you want to hear some? You hold up your phone and wave it eagerly, and you're pleased to see his face light up. You don't mind? It's been so long since I've heard music I didn't play by myself. Of course! Any preferences? I don't even know what I would ask for. Why don't you play me some of your favorite songs? A warm smile crosses your face as you nod and start a playlist with all of your favorites. The two of you sit there in silence for a while, enjoying the music. Cyrus especially seems pleased. He looks adorable, smiling so happily like that. You think to yourself, you feel your face heat up slightly, realizing that you just thought about him. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. I love your music. If you want, I could play my violin or piano for you later. So, was there anything else you wanted to know? How did you die? If that's too uncomfortable of a topic, you don't have to answer. Cyrus is quick to put his hand up to stop you. No, it's fine. After this long, I don't mind discussing that topic anymore. There was a time where I wouldn't have wanted to even think about the fact that I was dead. I was bitter and resentful about it for a long time. I mean, here I am, stuck, helpless to do anything as I'm forced to watch my family grieve my death. He takes a shaky breath to steady himself and pauses for a few moments before he continues. I tried so hard to communicate with them. I didn't get a hold of my new abilities until long after they had moved out and left me. For a moment, you were worried he was going to break down right then and there. This topic was clearly not something he was comfortable talking about. Just as you opened your mouth to stop him, he started talking again, his soft voice now talking in a resentful tone. I used to take it out on potential buyers for the manor after my family moved out and sold it. He narrows his eyes and stares at the fireplace as he continues. I never hurt anyone, but I always made sure to scare them so badly they'd never come back. That's why no one ever bought it. I couldn't handle seeing my family move on without me, and new people move into my home. You two sit in silence as you try to find the right words to say to him. I don't think I would have reacted any better, honestly. I can't even imagine everything you went through. I'm sorry, Cyrus. His expression softens as he regards you. You're a sweet person, Jean. Thank you. He takes a moment to gather his thoughts before continuing. I died of scarlet fever in 1862. One of the maids caught it and it ended up spreading throughout the manor staff before it finally came to me. I didn't even last 2 nights. My parents called in every doctor in the town and to try to save me, but I was 19. I should have been old enough to fight it off. It was only supposed to be fatal to children. A bitter laugh escapes his lips, and you're overcome with a strong urge to comfort him. Sit next to him. Without a word, you move from your spot and take up a seat next to him on the couch. He visibly freezes up in surprise and stares at you. You don't have to keep talking about this if you don't want to. As you meet his eyes, you see that he's holding back tears, but his lips are curved into a grateful smile. Thank you. I really did think I'd be fine talking about it. I'm sorry. I promise I'm fine now. Was there anything else you'd like to ask me? Nope. I think I'm good on questions now. He nods before reaching up his arms in a stretch. Well, if you're curious about anything else, don't hesitate to ask. Sure. Same goes for you about me. Thanks. I appreciate it. So, how about we continue our tour? I can show you another room if you'd like. Sure. Sounds good. I'd like that. Cyrus grins as he hops up off the couch and holds the door to the library open for you. After you, my dear. A small blush creeps up to your cheeks A small blush creeps up your cheeks as his joking words, and you quickly make your way out into the hallway. Oh my god, no. You are not going to start crushing on a ghost. Even if he was pretty cute, you weren't blind. Cyrus, oblivious to the brief mental battle you're having with yourself, walks past you and leads the way down the hall until he reaches another door. Just a second. His spectral form glides right through the closed door, and you hear a lock click from the inside of the door. Swings open and he once again holds it open for you. Oh! Do you mind if I asked why so many of the doors seem to be locked? It's just because there are rooms I don't want people going into when they visit. Some have sentimental things I want to keep from getting broken. Others are just too much of a mess to let anyone in. He grins sheepishly as you walk past into the newly opened room. This one seems to be cozy little sitting room. More velvet furniture is placed around the room, with tea tables scattered here and there. A large harp sits in front of the window, and you briefly wonder if Cyrus knows how to play. In a flash, all of the candles in the room are lit, giving everything a warm glow. Make yourself at home. This is another one of my favorite rooms. The amount of times I've fallen asleep on the couch. During the day, the sunlight hits it perfectly, and it makes the best napping spot in the entire manor. He chuckles to himself before moving to sit down on said couch. Even without thinking about it, you find yourself sitting down with him. His red eyes widen in surprise as he stares at you, and you think you can even see a faint pink tint to his pale cheeks. Shit, he really is cute, isn't he? As I was saying, my sister and I often chose this room to play hide and seek in. The manor is so big, we came up with rules to restrict what rooms we could play in to keep it fair. He rests his chin on his hands as he gazes out the window, a fond expression on his face. You're curious about his family, but you don't want to accidentally upset him again. You'll let him talk about it if he feels like it. Running from you earlier kind of felt like a game of hide and seek. Well, in a horror movie kind of way. It was kind of exhilarating looking back on it now, though, like the rush gets you from a roller coaster. Cyrus raises an eyebrow at you, and as a mischievous grin crosses his face, and you find your own heat up in return. Really? In that case... In an instant, his form vanishes from next to you. You quickly scan the room, but you don't see him anywhere. You open your mouth to call for him, but before you can speak, you suddenly feel a chilly breath on your ear, and his voice whispers from behind you. Boo. A shrill scream tears itself out from your mouth as you clutch your chest, your heartbeat going a mile a minute. That That was uncalled for. You turn to lightly smack his shoulder as he bursts into laughter at your reaction before returning to his seat next to you on the couch. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. I'm a ghost. What do you expect? Despite the fear you felt from his prank, the blush across your cheeks refuses to go away. If anything, they've turned a darker shade of pink. You really hope Cyrus doesn't notice, and the dim lighting works in your favor. The smile fades off his face, replaced by one mild concern as he observes you. I didn't actually scare you, did I? Come on, look at me. Are you alright? I'm fine. Yeah, you didn't scare me, don't worry. The answer comes out too quickly to be natural, and you cough into your fist to hopefully hide it. Cyrus hums thoughtfully and tilts his head as he examines your face. Suddenly, his own expression lights up as he seemingly reaches a conclusion for himself, a teasing grin appearing on his lips. Jean, do you perhaps enjoy me scaring you? That's it. You're going to find the nearest heavy object and bash your head into it. You'd rather die than face his mortification. You stare at him wide-eyed for a few moments as your mouth opens and closes, but unable to say anything. Try to lie. Of course not. Who would like being scared? You, apparently. If it makes you feel any better, most of the visitors I get are people here for the same reason. He pauses before shooting you another teasing smirk, though none of them ever blushed over me scaring them. Despite the confident tone in his voice, Cyrus's own face seemed to have turned a dark pink over the conversation. Well, it helps you're so nice to look at. Realizing what you just had blurted out without thinking, you quickly slap your hand over your mouth and stare at Cyrus in horror, expecting him to tease you more. Much to your surprise, Cyrus is staring at your mouth agape with the same mortified expression. His entire face is bright pink from what you can tell in the dim candlelight. He quickly recovers and averts his eyes from yours to stare out the window before mumbling nearly unintelligibly under his breath. You're incredibly cute yourself, you know. Thank him. Your lips curve into a gentle smile as you regard him. Thank you, Cyrus. An embarrassed whine escapes his lips and turns farther away from you. Then, all of a sudden, his form phases through the couch into the wooden floor below you. Before you can react, he quickly flies back up to the floor and takes his spot on the cushions. If possible, his face is even more red. I have a hard time controlling that when I'm flustered. This pulls a warm laugh from you as you smile at him. He really is adorable. You never thought you'd feel like this over a ghost of all things. Hug him. Impossible to resist another urge any longer. You lean in and wrap your arms around Cyrus's translucent frame. After a moment, he shyly returns your hug before letting go. Cyrus stares down on his lap for a bit before raising his bright red eyes to meet yours, a fragile smile on his lips. Thank you, Jean. I've never, even when I was alive, I didn't. He trails off and takes a few moments to collect his thoughts before he speaks again. I just want you to know that I appreciate you. I can't tell you how glad I am that you ended up here, that I got to meet you. That last part comes out quieter, his voice soft, but you can catch it all the same. I never thought I'd be thankful to end up in a haunted mansion, but I agree. You laugh at your own joke before your tone turns soft to match his. I'm glad I got to meet you too, Cyrus. The two of you sit in silence for a while, neither one of you wanting to break the gentle moment you just shared. After a bit, Cyrus speaks up, his tone mischievous again. So, did you want to play a round of hide and seek? We still have a little longer before morning after all. Though, I have to warn you, I don't think you're going to win. I've had 200 years to learn all of the best hiding spots. Hide and seek with a ghost, huh? Well, that's certainly not something you would ever thought you'd be doing. Why not? You're on. Don't think you're gonna win so easily though. Cyrus's expression brightens at your answer and he hops up from the couch. Alright, I'll give you 10 minutes to hide. Any unlocked room in the manor is fair game. Any questions? You contemplated for a moment. It certainly seemed fair enough. Can we set a time limit? If you don't find me in, let's say, half an hour, I win. Half an hour? Half an hour? You're not going to last 10 minutes. Pretty confident for someone who's going to lose, Cyrus. He laughs out loud at this and gives you a fond grin. You're a blast to be around. Alright, do you have a timer on your phone? Oh yeah, let me set it for us. You take out your phone and set a timer for 10 minutes before leaving it on the table in front of the couch for Cyrus. Alright, it started. I'm off. The phone will chime when the timer is up. You spin on your heels and quickly make a dash for the door. However, Cyrus's voice stops you just as you throw it open. Jean, I sincerely hope you find a good hiding spot. It would be boring if I caught you too quickly. His tone turns darker, a teasing smirk on his lips. It sends a chill of something other than fear down your spine, and you feel your face grow hot. Without a reply, you dash out the door and shut it loudly behind you. Which direction did you want to go? Across the hall to the other wing of the manor. You quickly make your way across the upper levels of the foyer and into the hallway onto the other side. Finding an unlocked door, you slip inside and shut the door as quietly as you can manage, not wanting to give Cyrus any hints to which direction you went. You were going to win this. The room you find yourself in seems to be a guest bedroom from the looks of it. A large four-poster bed sits against the wall, and not much else is in the room, save for the dresser and a few chairs. Well, might as well go full horror movie and hide under the bed. At least the bed skirt would help Cyrus from spotting you if he happened to check in here. Careful not to make much noise, you drop to the floor and ease yourself under the bed. Thankfully, it was clean, other than dust. You didn't even think about mice or spiders. Just as you shifted the bed skirt back into place, you heard the faint chime of your phone going off from the other wing of the manor. Wow, 10 minutes went by fast. Shortly after the alarm shut off, you heard Cyrus' playful voice call out into the otherwise silent manor. Ready or not, here I come! You couldn't stop the grin from creeping on your face. This was fun, if not a bit anxiety-inducing knowing you were hiding from a ghost. Minutes ticked by slowly as you listened to the sounds of Cyrus checking various rooms in the other wing. Doors opening and closing, his voice occasionally calling out for you. I'm gonna find you! After a while, the sound of the door clicking open sounded in the hallway outside of your room. Oh no, it was only a matter of time before he checked the room you were currently in. Hopefully, your spot would be good enough to save you. Actually, now that you thought about it, why was Cyrus bothering with opening doors at all? He was a ghost. He could just phase right through them. Unless he wanted to purposely unnerve you by letting you know where he was looking for you. Jerk. Your thoughts were interrupted by a terrifying noise of a metal knob to your door being turned. Where are you, my cute little human? You nearly choked and quickly held a hand over your mouth, cheeks now glowing a soft pink in the darkness. The sound of Cyrus moving through the room and checking behind the various pieces of furniture were nearly inaudible over the sound of your rapid heartbeat in your ears. Suddenly, the bed shifted above you, and you heard Cyrus sigh. You held your breath as you imagined Cyrus bracing himself on the bed to check behind it. You didn't even dare to move a muscle. Geez, not in here either. Gene is really good at hiding. You could almost picture the pout on his face based on his tone. Ah well, that's enough of a break. Back to looking. Thankfully, his soft footsteps moved away from the bed and over to the other side of the room. Once you heard the sound of the door opening and shutting once more, did you finally let out a breath you've been holding? Holy shit, that was way too close for comfort. Now, all you had to do was wait here until the game ended and you could declare victory. Huh, so much for 10 minutes, huh? Suddenly, you felt an icy hand grip your ankle, causing a scream to tear its way out of your throat. Actually, you lasted 12. Considered me impressed. You heard Cyrus burst into laughter as his hand released your ankle, and shortly, his spectral form phased through the bed and joined you as you lay on the floor. He had an impossibly smug grin on his face, and if it weren't so cramped under the bed, you'd reach over to swat at him. How? I heard you leave! This gets another laugh out of him as he regards you with a raised brow and grin never leaving his face. Aww, is that what you thought? His grin widens. Under the bed is the most obvious choice, isn't it? Even I know that. You stare at him incredulously for a moment before letting out a frustrated scream into your hands. That's bullshit! Cyrus falls into a new wave of laughter before moving out from under the bed and reaches a translucent hand towards you. Come on, can't be comfortable under there. Taking his hand with a grumble, you let him help you out from under the bed and stand up, brushing the dust off your clothes. If it makes you feel any better, you lasted longer than my sister ever did playing with me. At least, you didn't try to hide behind the door or something. That's a terrible spot. You roll your eyes over dramatically, not at all annoyed you lost anymore to give him more of a grin of your own. Yeah, whatever. Good game, Cyrus. He happily returns it, expression impossibly bright. That was a ton of fun. Thanks so much, Gene. Before you can react, Cyrus sweeps you up into his arms and twirls you Before you can react, Cyrus sweeps you up into his arms and twirls you in a brief waltz-like move, ending with one hand clasping yours and the other on your waist. His eyes are closed in a joyful expression, and laughter is bubbling up from his chest. Your eyes go comically wide, and you feel a blush spread all the way down to your neck as you stare at him for a moment before you laugh, before your own laugh joins his. I had a lot of fun too. Thank you. Cyrus lets you go and falls backwards onto one of the couches in the room, a smile still plastered on his face as he sighs. I'm really glad I met you. Taking a seat next to him, you feel something tug your chest as you admire his soft expression. Same here. I haven't enjoyed myself this much in a long time. You both fall quiet after that, simply enjoy each other's company for a short remainder of the night. Cyrus walks with you back to the foyer and outside onto the front porch. It's a little weird seeing his semi-transparent form outside in this daylight. Well, congratulations on being the first to survive a night in Briarwood Manor. I wish I had a medal to give you. He chuckles to himself and gives you a soft grin. Same here. There's no way anyone's going to believe me about this. I think I'm better off keeping it on my own. I think I'm better off keeping it my own little secret. If anyone asks, I'll just say I spent the night in my car. You should get home and rest. You must be exhausted. At the mention of sleep, you yawn and stretch your arms above your head. Definitely. I'm going to be asleep for the rest of the day, I swear. Well, I have to be well rested for tonight after all. You shoot him a playful wink, your expression bright. I'm coming back to visit you again. Cyrus's eyes go comically wide as he processes your words before he breaks out into a huge grin himself. Wait, are you serious? You're coming back? Duh! What do you think? I was going to leave you all by yourself? Cyrus's expression falls for a moment, and you're worried you said the wrong thing. I've never had anyone come back. His voice is fragile, and for a moment it looked like he might tear up, but then a soft smile makes its way onto his face as he looks back up at you. Thank you. There's no way I could ever repay you. Just coming back to visit me occasionally means more to me than you could ever possibly know. He's quiet for a few moments before his expression changes into something mischievous. You know you're stuck now, right? If I get too lonely, I'll be forced to lock you with me in one of... If I get too lonely, I'll be forced to lock you in with me for sleepovers. This is your fault for being so charming. You really have no one to blame but yourself. You burst into laughter, and a blush creeps its way onto your face, painting your cheeks pink. Does it count as locking me in if I'm willingly staying? You regard him for a moment, expression softening. I won't let you be lonely, Cyrus. I'll visit as often as I can, I promise. I'm gonna be on the edge of my seat, waiting all day long. Alright, you should really get going before I'm too tired to walk. But before I go, kiss him. You reach up and place your hand on his cheek before leaning up to press your lips again to his. The contrast in temperature sending a chill through you. Cyrus wraps his arms around you and pulls you close to him, seemingly unwilling to break the kiss first. After a few more moments, you two part. Both of your faces are flushed a soft pink. Bye, Cyrus. Well, for now, that is. The two of you share matching smiles. Cyrus raises his hand in a wave. Bye, Jean. See you later. You return his wave before turning on your heel and heading back to the path towards the road. When you reach the iron gates that mark the beginning of the property, you cast one final glance over your shoulder and see Cyrus blow you a playful kiss from the porch. A giggle escapes your lips as you wave again before continuing your walk. Eventually, you make it back into town and to your home, where you call to get your car towed. You keep your promise and return to Briarwood Mansion later that night and for many more nights to come. Thank you for playing. Created by Starfait. Special thanks to Darth1117, Mangosteen and Metafright. That was Spectral Phantasy. Well, what an interesting story. Well, thank you everyone, and before I let you go, I would love it if you guys would if to like and subscribe. Basically, if you do like the content, I'm very new to YouTube, so any like or any subscription, any comment would do me a great bunch. I plan to do most of the VN Spooktober games for 2022. Although right now I'm not sure because there might be a ton of entries later on, but for now I'll try to do them. Alright guys, I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye, and thanks for watching.